morning, everyone, and welcome to Talking Horses. Anthony Stabile, Andy Sterling on a glorious day at Belmont. And I got to tell you, this is as good a car as we've run the whole meet.
Absolutely.
I mean, obviously, Belmont Stakes Day is a huge day, and you can't really compete with a car with races like that. 103 betting interests in 11 races, which is over almost 9.5 horses a race. Competitive races. I don't think there's particularly short prices on the card. I'm really looking forward to this card. A lot of fun.
The two turf stakes as well came up very strong and very competitive. Emmanuel, a big scratch coming out, one of the speeds, and of course the winner of the Pennine Ridge.
He could have reduced takeout.
Well, I didn't like him either, but
yeah,
I mean, he's
anyway,
a big scratch.
I wonder if he scratched because there's something wrong. I hope he's fine. Or they looked and realized not the right race for him. We'll see. The way Todd Pletcher's been going, though, you don't really know. We'll get right to work because we do have a lot to talk about. Head over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, no better time than the present. Sign up for Naira Bets. We head up to Saratoga. Tomorrow is the last day. Use promo code MATCH200. We will match the $200 of your initial deposit. We have the 5 times points today and tomorrow at Belmont Park. You've got to opt in at Naira Bets.
You don't have to opt in, actually.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Really? Well, I don't, because I don't get points, but I've been around a long time.
Right. Yeah. No. You.
How about the 10? We got 10 points at Canterbury and Horseshoe.
I don't know if you have to opt into that either.
You know what? Check it out. If you have to opt, it takes 2 seconds anyways. It's easy. Even Anthony and I can do it, and we're both idiots. You'll be doing a little Canterbury tonight.
Can't wait.
And what else do we have?
Little Big M as well. We've got the Big M, Andy.
Cross country, pick 5. All these races will be shown on America's Day at the Races.
Have a ticket up for that in a little while.
Yeah. Can't wait for that. That's of course the 2 stakes here and the 3 over at Indiana. What's it called? Horseshoe Indy.
Horseshoe Indy, Andy. Horseshoe Indy.
Stop changing all those names. Very tough to keep track of. And last but not least, I believe we are on from 1 to 7, and then 8 to 11. A little dinner break. Nice for everybody to get a little dinner break.
I literally will have a dinner break.
Right. Anthony, you're always on a dinner break.
And about an hour is about enough time for me to get my dinner in.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Johnny I's got to stop bringing those delicious donuts up to the press office.
I don't go. I try to avoid.
I feel like I'm like Hansel.
I lost 27 pounds last year in Saratoga. I'm going to try and break it. I'm going to try and hit
That's
30
impressive.
this year.
Very tough place to lose weight.
Yeah, I'm going to try and lose 30 this year.
Doing a great job.
I'm going to stay away from Johnny I's donuts.
You know why I know you're doing well, losing weight? Honestly, you don't talk about it. You almost never mention it. You know, my dad, who smoked for many, many years, whenever he would quit, he would talk about it endlessly. And we knew he was never really quitting.
It's a mindset. It's a mindset
when he
now.
quit, he never said
It
a
used
word.
to always be on my mind. Now it's just routine for me now.
All right, let's get to work. Race number uno. What you do in race number uno? Oh, go ahead. Got off the deep end here.
Yes. Tonalistic ran pretty well. I thought ran well 2 starts back. Well enough. Gave him another chance last time, and he was all over the place, slipping and sliding on the turf course. Couple of things here. He's by Tonalist out of a Lemon Drop Kid mare. So obviously distance, you would think, is going to be his friend.
Christoph has entered him 3 times in sprints.
That's Steve
once
Cazares.
he didn't get in.
Steve.
I'm sorry. He's
yeah,
run,
okay.
but he's entered him 3 times in sprints.
He has. But now he's decided to stretch him out.
Because he can't sprint.
Jose Ortiz stays. And after a race like that last time where he essentially pulled this horse up on the far turn.
I don't know about that, but okay. So he had a horse.
I think this horse is very, very interesting today.
Okay.
Stretching out.
Big price?
Very interesting.
Big price. Wish you the best of luck with him. I looked at this race and I thought that it was very, very hard to go beyond the 2 and 7 here. Looking Grand feels like the horse to beat. Ran against better horses last time, makes a drop down. And for this horse is a drop because that was actually a reasonable field. And the 7 Zap Man, the 1 turf race back at Aqueduct, I thought would win this. Umbria, those horses are pretty good. Now, the pace did hold together fairly well, so that's not a feather in his cap. I just thought the 7 Zap Man would be a slightly bigger price. I expect by post time these 2 to be the first and second choice, but I'll take Zap Man. A horse that David has a short price that the money right now isn't mean anything, is busting up. I suppose he could stretch out. And listen, there's no killers in this field, but I mean, this horse has done no running, sprinting. What about this horse suggests
his
to
pedigree
anybody
doesn't suggest he's going long, yeah.
Want to improve going longer. See what
I
happens.
put him 4th just in case.
See what happens in race number 1. I am 2s and 7s. You are on the long shot, the 10. Race number 2. These races are always tricky for me. Let's go back to January 7th of 2021, which I think was appropriate because it's the last time that Lil Commissioner ran a particularly good race. I guess he didn't run that badly against Empty Tomb that day on November 28th. I mean, what do you do, Anthony, with a horse whose form has eluded him, but his races really aren't that bad? But now he's been off for 2 months. We're heading up to Saratoga, and Rob is saying, "Somebody, please take this horse off my hands."
Yeah, but if you
Right.
take him today, and it's close to 40,000 if he loses him today, he'll lose him today.
Oh no,
He will lose him
20,
today.
about 24,000 for the purse and
Yeah.
get claim. I'm not. Listen, I get it. I understand, but he's a tough horse to take on top, Anthony. At 2-1.
Andy,
I know you've had a lot of success with Rob Atras lately, and I
I
get
have,
that.
and that was the big reason I did it. I'll be honest with you. You want to call
they've been
this
horses in
you
good
want to call
form,
this a
though.
lazy pick?
No, it's not.
There's
I've got
just-
him second. I'm not.
It's a lazy
not a
pick. It's a lazy
speech.
pick because I had no strong opinion in here.
But then you're defaulting the favorite. I get it. I feel like the horses that you've been winning with Rob have been horses in good form.
No, listen, I don't.
That's-
I don't disagree.
And they're also, you've had some at decent prices,
You're
too.
betting right. You're taking this horse hoping he finds some races from yesteryear, and maybe they're not coming back anymore.
I mean, to be fair, I've picked him second. The horse who's going to be the second choice in this
Yeah.
race. I agree, Trapezoid, off the claim, and I know it's coming from Peter Walder, but at least this horse chased outside last time on a good rail day, so I think that's sort of in his favor a little bit. And I don't know. I mean, to me, see, I saw the race differently than you. I thought the winner would come. I mean, I had the 1 had a smidgen of a chance, but mostly between the 2, 5, 8, and 9. The 2-1 last time, I didn't want to go back to a horse coming off a win who could actually be favored. I don't think somebody's impossible in this race. I think he could definitely get it done in here. But his form is somewhat mediocre. I don't know. You've got the 4 second. Do you see enough pace for this horse to make a run? There's no speed in here whatsoever.
No, I know. I took horses that just have representative races that I know the dynamics seem to be against them, but
Last race was awful.
yeah, last race was not
Last
very
was
good.
awful. I mean, that's just what worries me. I just wonder if it is finally tailing. I mean,
Maybe.
because he usually seems to not win, but put in a little bit of a run. And he
I got frustrated with that race.
no, it's an annoying race. I get it. Believe me, it's one of the last races I made picks for too.
Yeah, it was the last race. When I said to you yesterday, I got a couple of races
No,
left.
no, that
I didn't
was-
want to be. That's kind of like the chore that you have to do, and you just put it off till the end. I was like, oh, let me go finish this thing up.
I don't put them
finished it
off.
about 4:30 yesterday.
I feel like there's sort of like math problems I used to do in college, where you look at them for a while, you try to digest it, you can't figure out what's going on with it, and you come back to it at some point, whether it's 2 hours later or 6 to 8 hours later.
It was
the
still
next day,
calculus to
and
me
you
when I
go
looked
back.
at it again.
Yeah, well, I was thinking more about statistical theory, but that was scary, heady stuff.
Calculus is the only thing I ever failed in school.
Really?
Yeah, couldn't get it.
Wow.
Could not get it.
Well, I somehow passed that statistical theory course, and in order to pass it, I had to give up going to the Dead Show at Patrick Gym and
Yikes.
University of Vermont. I kind of regret it, but I might not have gotten graduated if I had gone to that show. I'm still not sure it wouldn't have been the right
Quite
move.
fortunate, though.
Race number 3. What'd you do here?
I went to Volus. I kind of feel like I got this might be a little bit of a sucker play, right? Half the Hush of a Storm, who ran on turf twice. Why did he run on turf twice? But he's a run happy. There's more dirt. It's more dirt pedigree. Finally getting to the dirt.
This horse to have to?
Hush of a Storm.
Yeah, that horse didn't really like the dirt.
Well, I mean, I think he ran well enough on the dirt.
Better on the turf, though.
Better
This
on,
horse can't
better
run
on
all
the
on the turf.
better on the synth.
Yeah,
Really.
but this horse can't. This horse turf races are bad.
But he's a run happy.
Listen, I get it. I picked a horse because of the trainer, and you had his horse.
Mm-hmm.
You had the horse the big price the other day, but we'll show Eli Dancer's last race. I don't particularly like it. I don't particularly like this off the turf
Gotta
field.
use
the
this
5-horse
horse in
field.
here, though.
But this guy has brought 3 horses here. He's got 2 winners and a second. The horses he have brought here, he has come here with a purpose.
Yeah.
And I look at this race, and I can't pick Royal Currency on top. I just can't.
I put a 4th. I mean, I
She-
think there's
she
a lot
can
of
win,
more interesting
but
things
she's
going
just-
on here.
She's just a very hard horse to take. I hear you with Volus. I have the horse 4th. I won't be shocked if you're right about this horse. I don't think this horse can run, but I won't be shocked if Christophe was wrong and should have run this horse in the dirt all along. I think Sweet Mystery is not impossible here. I do think that Fig might have been a little high last time. And frankly, the 2 firsters on the inside are dangerous near. Funny How is after Funny Guy and 3 Jokers. Got plenty of pedigree for Ray Handle.
Race horses have all been running.
They have. Been a little quiet. Not as well the last month.
Last-
They were
last,
very
like, 3
hot
weeks,
to start it
yeah.
out.
Yep.
Had some firsters, took money that didn't do that well. And even the second, even the 2, Photon, is It has a little bit of pedigree. The foals were okay. They ran figs in the 60s and 70s. Not a ton to speak of, but I don't know. I don't think you saw it. I saw the race a little differently. You like the 7 more than I do. That's probably the biggest difference between the way we looked at the race.
I think I'm probably more sick of Royal Currency than you are.
Well, no, it's not. He was atrocious last time.
She was awful last time. She was a
total runoff.
awful.
Well, she ran off on Dillon, and that's never a good sign. But maybe Charlie's looking at it and thinking, you know what, I shouldn't have run her a mile, and now cutting her back will help her. But still, she ran against some okay horses. But I agree, she's somewhat of a vulnerable.
She was a little finicky too, right? He scratched her that day when she wasn't sweating and everything.
Who was finicky? She is, or Charlie is?
She is. Both. I mean, he handles her. It seemed like that day he handled. And then listen, I love the fact that he did that.
Who did Charlie have? Charlie had 2 wins, nice 2 wins last. The one, the layoff horse, off the claim, but somebody else.
Can't remember.
One of the very few winners I think I picked last week. The Jeremiah Engelhard horse, the New York bred, Dan Fusky Island.
Yes.
Who they kind of knew was going to win.
Wow, even money. Those opened up even money.
Yeah. I mean, he ended up paying, I think,
$7.90.
I remember.
Max Jingles showed up? Wow, nice.
It's my favorite Jason line, Max Jingles.
He took that from me.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, of course.
I didn't know that.
Come on.
Give the guy a little love.
I gave him plenty of love last week. I told the Rayon story, but yeah, that's Max Jingles me.
It's a great. I like that. You didn't make that up though. That's
no.
Max Jingles is the most a horse can pay, $7.90.
OT, the corner, somebody in the Liberty and Crossway OTB.
It's a great line. So the Suburban. I'm going to show Dynamic One winning the Blame. I understand he's going to be the favorite in here.
I don't think he'll be favorite. I think First Catherine will be the favorite.
Oh, I won 2 lunches yesterday. So you can bet 2 more lunches.
I'll
bet you favorite.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think First Captain.
5/4.
You know you're giving me West Point right now, right?
They can't bet enough in this race.
Okay.
They're all broke. Tommy Bellhouse has got a night job to support himself now. He's getting buried. I'm kidding. I got to tell you, I always thought this horse had ability.
Yes.
And
Todd always liked this horse.
Kind of took him a little while to come around. And I know he got a pretty good trip last time out. I have a feeling that this horse, I'll put it this way, this is kind of a big race for him because he obviously hasn't shown that he's good enough to beat the big boys. And the way the New York bred ran last week for Todd that he beat
American
Revolution, he's not as good as him based on that race because that Churchill race was good. I think he's on the cusp, of maybe being one of the better horses out there.
Last year, he kind of had the look of a horse that was going to get better with some seasoning and with age, and that's kind of what happened so far this year.
And something went wrong in the Travers, obviously.
And that's the thing too. You're going to look you're going to look and say, "Oh, a mile and a quarter. He has 2 mile-and-a-quarter races." They're the Derby and the Run Happy Travers.
He should have won the Wood. I know it wasn't the greatest Wood, but he really ran the best race in there. I mean,
so
he really ran well.
I don't worry too much about the distance. Yeah, I mean, I think he's a major. Oh, David has him shorter than First Captain. I thought First Captain would be the favorite.
Okay.
We got 2 lunches though.
Okay.
Yeah, he makes an awful lot of sense. I don't disagree.
So you have a second. It's not a.
Yeah.
So
I was just trying to get Untreated wire to wire. That was it.
The problem with that, and we'll show Untreated
was
First Captain last time. Yeah, I got to tell you the problem with him. The problem with him is last time, and speed was pretty good, and he could get the mile in 3/16. And the truth is, that Vindictive is no super. He's a nice horse. I don't think he's as good as Dynamic One, and losing that race in the Excelsior to me, that's kind of a career-defining loss. Anthony, Fort Warren's a neat horse.
I forgot all about that.
Fort Warren's a neat horse.
Thanks for bringing it up, Andy.
But you have to admit, it was kind of just inexcusable.
One of the filthiest things I've ever seen.
It was inexcusable. He lost. First Constitution didn't break. I mean, he should have won that day. I don't like this horse at all.
I liked his race last time.
By default.
See, and this is what I think. I think Joel did a good job trying to nurse him along last time. I think you're going to see different tactics today.
It's not that fast.
I don't disagree, but there's no speed in here.
Well,
I think he's going to jack
there is no speed.
I think he's going to jack him out of there today and be a little bit more assertive. That's what I'd like to see anyway. Joel ordinarily does that. If he tries to walk the dog and he gets nailed, I could see him getting some separation today, maybe opening a 2 or 3 length lead and just playing a little catch me if you can.
It's not going to happen. It never does.
All right.
I think Max Player is going today.
And
now, I don't know if he can run it all anymore, but when he was good in those races, including winning here last year, he was forward.
I don't think he's any good anymore. I think he's done.
I think he's going to be forward. I won't be surprised when he's in front.
I think they tried to be forward with him.
No, they didn't.
2 starts back in the Ali Sheba. I think he's done.
Okay. I don't like Entreat as a horse. I think First Captain is. I think it's between the 5 and the 4 mostly in this race. I want First Captain to wow me one of these days. He's a neat horse, and the fact that he can win closing going short and he can go longer is sort of cool, but I want him to wow me one of these days. But he's the main threat to Dynamic One, in my opinion.
Okay.
You're going to try and treat it. I don't think he's a winner. Race number 5. This was a very, very tough race. Chad Brown has 2 in here. Neither one of them should be a heavy favorite. We'll start and talk about grade on a curve. I'm going to tell you one thing. I know he won by a couple lengths, and he is kind of a cool horse. He doesn't run that often, but when he does, he runs well. I think he's going to have to run better than he ran this race to win here. I respect that he always seems to show up, but these horses are a lot better than Roos and Bar 14.
For a 2.5 length margin of victory, this seemed like a struggle, right?
No.
I thought to me it seemed a little bit like a struggle, and more that the other two were just the two behind him were just tiring at the end, and he was, just getting a little separation.
Roos is okay. I don't know. He won pretty easy. I just feel like this is just a much
tougher
tougher
race.
field.
It's
and
a much tougher race.
Field.
Yeah.
So, and as far as Lonesome Fugitive, when he won 2 back, Dylan gave him an incredibly great ride, and he's just been a horse that, for the most part, is known for losing races where he makes sense. But he's obviously a player in this race as well.
He can win.
Big Everest, you're on quite a Christophe Clement thing. How is he going to win?
I think this is another gate open and just go.
Oh, he's not the speed.
Who's the speed?
Well, there's faster horses than him.
Like who?
The 1, the 10, the 11.
I'd be very disappointed if this horse isn't on the lead, because I feel like they found the whole card last time. You just let this horse roll. They've been fighting this horse his whole career. You just let this horse go.
Well, here's my problem is, if he runs his last race, he'll probably be 5th in here. That's my problem.
Well, it was his first start since the end of October. So it was
but he
7
walked the dog in the
7.5
front end.
months.
How did Devil's Outlaw do out of that race?
No, I don't disagree with that, but I think that he has room to improve off of that race. His first start in 7 months.
I don't know.
They changed tactics for the first time. I don't know. I thought.
Let me ask you.
I thought he made a lot of sense today.
Oh, okay. We disagree. That's fine. It's fine. Doesn't make me right. It's a very tough race. I didn't like him. But
Probably should have put Eyes on Target second. He's on a nice little run.
We'll show his last race at Churchill. Yeah. I don't know who he's beating either, though.
He's not beating much. I know he's not beating much, but he's...
This is a much tougher spot.
He
can win. This is a much tougher spot.
But he's another horse, Andy. Doesn't it seem like just he's kind of taken a step forward from 3 to 4? I mean, all of his turf races were pretty good. You don't think so?
No.
You don't think his last 2 races were better than anything he ran last year?
No. I actually don't. And I actually think this was a massive mistake by Belmont dropping this horse. And if I could have claimed horses, I know one thing, I bet out on him at 3-2 that day, and he got a horrifically bad ride from Junior, and he still won.
I remember that conversation.
This is a horse who had one bad, awful trip. This is a horse's first 2 races were very good. I think you're forgetting that this horse ran low 80 buyers in his first 2 starts. And then he had against the track trips, 2 of them. And I'm going to say something that people will laugh at, but this is true. He's like another Tacitus. I think Belmont lost confidence in this horse for all the wrong reasons. You should have gained confidence in him. This horse was way against the track. He was super wide at Saratoga when you needed to save ground in that race. He was super wide here when you needed to save ground. He got bad rides. He was completely and totally dressed down. He is much better than he looked. And they gave up. They ran in the dirt. You might remember they ran in the dirt. I just went crazy about how ridiculous it was that he was running on the dirt. This is a horse that they lost confidence in for all the wrong reasons. And so, do I think he's improved for Mike? Maybe a little bit, but not that much. I really don't. I really think they misread this horse.
Okay.
And believe me, if I was in the game and could have claimed it for 50, I'd have been in the shake with Mike Dubb, because I thought this horse was a steal for $50,000. And he could win here. It looks like I've got him in there too. This is a tough race. As far as the 1 who I picked on top, it is tricky to pick one number type horses. You just don't really know. But his form wasn't that bad. He ran Mystic Lancelot, who was running against last year, is not bad. He comes off a 13-month layoff and ran as well as he did last time. You know who's the speed was in that race? It wasn't some like it Hot Brown, who finished like a neck ahead of him.
Right.
Okay? It was City Man, who finished behind him. He stalked City Man and beat him. And Ocala Dream, Sanctuary City, I mean, this is a race that was coming apart at the end. Coming apart, and he was on the pace.
I just worry that he found that race off the 13 months.
I don't know that he can run it again. He's a 1-number horse, but he's not a 1. David's wrong. He's not going to be 5-1. There's no chance this horse is going to be 5-1. There is no chance this horse is going to be the same price as Eyes on Target. No chance.
He's higher.
Yeah.
Yeah, he should be. He'll probably be higher.
Philip Antonucci and Trevor McCarthy versus Jose Ortiz and Maker off.
On a 3-race win streak.
Sorry. And by the way, I think that Antonucci did a great job with Fauci. He should have won here the other day. He was incredibly unlucky to lose that race the other day.
That was a tough beat.
I don't love him, but I think he's going to be closer to 8-1 in here.
I agree.
And for that, I even think Cold Hard Cash can win here. Linda's not great off layoffs, but I don't know. This is a good race. Never Explained might be improving. He had some excuses in his races. I mean, even Soulmate's not that bad.
You can make a case for any of
There's
them.
a lot of horses that can win this race. Hieroglyphics is probably a little tough. Race number 6. I feel like some pace in race number 6, right? So we'll show it's very hard to find a replay for this race. So I went back to Seeking the Ante for November Rain.
Nothing lasts forever, Andy. You know that, right?
I remember this horse ran that race against Canary Love, and nobody knew there were songs.
I remember that.
He was in a very fast-paced 7-furlong race that fell apart last time.
She had no chance last time. I mean,
But
the way it unfolded, she had no chance last time.
With Monshin in here and Baba and Chasing Kara, isn't there going to be pace in here too?
I think she's faster.
I don't think she is, Anthony.
You don't feel like Monshin's lost some of her speed?
No, I think she's been in super fast-paced races.
She's faster than Bob. I'm not worried about Baba. Monshin, I guess. I won't worry too much about Baba. I think.
We disagree.
And you know what? When Joel's intent on the lead.
Why do you think he'll be intent on the lead, though? When he's intent on the lead, it's usually in races with no pace.
Well, she did break her maiden from off the pace, and it was her fastest fig.
Yeah, so. I mean, I don't think she's making the lead, and I picked her second, so I don't.
Okay.
I'm not worried about her potentially rating here. I'm just worried about whether or not she can run anymore.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned with that because I thought she ran well for the first half mile last time, and then she had every excuse to get tired off the break, going the 7 in the fast pace.
That's fair. No, that's fair. I agree. Listen, I've got her second. I don't disagree with you. And we just flip-flop the horses in here. I like Ruby's on Time, who I thought ran well. I mean, was she a better speed horse? Yeah, but the fastest vig she's shown recently, she rated that day. And my Roxy girl was Veloci. I just thought she was super logical in this race. I mean, I know that horse I've got the 2 as the suck
Roxy
up.
being bred. I haven't seen her in a while. Hirsch would like to.
Linda have her last?
Linda has her.
Tell her to call Linda.
Anybody? Yeah, I'll give Linda a call.
Yeah, but this does. I think you and I we don't disagree on our selections. I disagree on this race. I think there has to be pace in this race.
Okay.
And I think it helps a horse like Fight on Lucy is kind of a bomb that could get somewhere in the number here, because this race could fall apart. And I'll tell you what. I don't think there's really a better riders at taking advantage of closers in races with pace than Trevor McCarthy.
He's unbelievable.
Because he's patient.
Patient.
He will save ground.
And
He'll do. You think about a lot of his wins.
The
at
two
price
things
horses.
you need to do.
Yeah.
Right. When he wins races at a price.
It's usually closers in races like this.
Absolutely right. And
All
it's because he's a little clever with his ride.
Got a lot more to talk about. The late pick 5, including 3 stakes, 2 grade 1s. After a quick break.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
Welcome back to Talking Horses. The Big A, Anthony Stabile. Did you figure out who you're on with Talking Horses tomorrow?
That'll be the one and only. That'll be the one and only Maggie Wolfenden.
It's not going to be the what is it? The unknown handicapper.
The unknown comic? No.
Unknown handicapper.
Me and Mags. Blood Horse first.
Oh boy, it's going to be a big morning for the two of you. Oh yeah, you know I am. You know I am. You really know how to annoy me. not kidding. So in this race, I thought I'd go with the U.S. horses first, and the next race we'll go with the Euros first.
Okay.
And we'll start with Consumer Spending, who you have third, and I do not have in the top 4. I will say with her, she's improving with every start. She's gotten tractable. She's able to put herself in position. She's sort of been surprising. She's always been a nice horse. She's gotten better. This is a much tougher field though than she's been running against. She has been beating up, and I'm going to even include Pizza Bianca against lesser horses.
Okay. I won't go that far with Pizza Bianca, but I would agree with everything else you said.
Her form's been
I
good this
like
year.
the fact but it's still early. I've probably been a bigger fan of this filly than you have.
That's not true. I bet her in the Breeders' Cup.
You did? Do you?
I picked and bet her in the Breeders' Cup.
Oh, all right. I'm getting this confused in another one of these then. Anywho, and sometimes it's a sucker move. She's gaining ground at the end of all of her races.
Well, they're slow-paced races, and she's sort of.
But she's
on
gaining ground. I mean, she had some fast-paced races. She's kind of closing to a
more
bunch
than
of
ready, a
different
mile and a
paces.
quarter.
From what I've seen, I don't think the mile and a quarter is going to be her undoing.
Listen,
Maybe she's not
No,
as
I
good.
hope she wins.
Maybe she's not as good as these horses. I don't think the distance will be a concern.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
So
And I like how she's improved this year.
before we go on to other horses, you're going to have to enlighten me on Cairo Memories.
So I was not thrilled with the Euros.
I'm guessing you didn't do as deep a dive as some of us
I
may
didn't.
have done.
I didn't. I know Concert Hall is as big as my cat Parson. And I know she's outrun her pedigree as her appearance. She's diminutive as being nice to her at this point.
Doesn't matter. So was Blind Luck. And she was one of the ugliest looking horses you saw. And she was a tremendous racehorse. I mean, to be mean. She was not. How did Blind Luck look?
I
She
put
looked
her
like
se- I put
she
her
looked like the
second.
best filly
I
mare
put
in
her
the country.
second, but I wonder how the travel is going
We'll
to
get to
affect
her in a minute. I want to hear about Cairo Memories.
I am going to try to beat the Euros and the slower Americans with some California speed. And I know she doesn't appear to be that fast, but
Because she's not.
well, she's fast enough that she's going to get loose in here, unless Howdy goes, and that's not really Chad Brown's MO.
Or unless one of the Europeans has speed. You do realize that Garth is going to go, right?
But do you think Mike Smith is going to let a European
It's not-
get close to him? She's fast enough.
She's not, Anthony.
She's fast enough to be assertive on the front
She's
end.
not.
Okay.
She's not. She's not fast.
Okay.
She may be in front in here, but she's
Oh,
not
she'll
fast.
be in front.
No, she might be in front in here.
She'll be. He's not going to. They're not going to ship her across the country to not. Her only chance is going wire to wire. She doesn't have. She can't win from off the pace. She's
I
not
don't
going
think
to
we're in the
outkick
front
these
end,
horses.
but that's a different. Okay, I understand. She's not fast. Agarth is probably faster than she is. We disagree. She's a huge price. She'll be 25 to 1 in this race. If I lose and she wins, I'll be very happy for you. I mean, I don't get her at all, but listen, why not? She probably has the speed. Let's take a look at New Year's Eve and McCulloch at Churchill. New Year's Eve is a very dangerous. There's an argument she could be the most dangerous American horse in here. The thing about this race was she got the run of the race on the outside, and she really ran. McCulloch, while I thought that she just kind of got pocketed in there, and by the time she got out, the race was over. And part of the reason it was over was New Year's Eve was running as well as she was. But listen, I don't have a knock on New Year's Eve. I think McCulloch can turn around. She got caught in a somewhat paceless race last time out. I think more distance will be for her. I think McCulloch. I think the two Americans that are the most likely are McCulloch and New Year's Eve.
Yeah, I don't like that race.
What don't you like about
I
it?
don't like that race.
What don't you like?
She
about it? She won by almost 3 lengths, and there was 4 lengths
yeah,
back to the third horse.
And it was over that quirky course. And New Year's
But
Eve.
McCulloch showed that she.
She
was
did. I
legit
like McCulloch much more than I like New Year's Eve.
based on.
The fact that New Year's Eve was ordinary until catching a course that a lot of horses didn't handle.
Working
Maybe
pretty well
she
since,
did.
Working pretty well since then.
That's fine.
Isn't she supposed to get better with distance, being a kitten's
She's
joy?
supposed to, but again, I don't know where that improvement came from. That was too much for me
It's a
over a
fourth quarter
course.
start.
That was a big step up, Andy. That was a big step up.
Okay.
I
Okay.
want to see it again, and I think,
Okay.
I think off of that race, she's going to take some money. I know there's 3 Chads in here.
Well, she's supposed to be 6 or 8 to 1 here. She's not going to be super short price. Before we look at some of the other Euros, I forgot to send in the replay for Concert Hall. I don't know what PPs people have. The ones I printed very early have her losing by 7 lengths in the Pretty Polly against older horses. which I believe is the race that Santa Barbara used last year to come here and win this race. I think she was a week earlier. Now this is 13 days. She lost by 4 lengths, and she was badly interfered with at about an eighth of a mile to go and shuffled back to last before re-rallying outside. And these are better horses than she's running against here. I thought her Kazoo Oaks was good. I thought her Guineas was very good, running against a horse like Tuesday. She's the horse to beat in this race. There's really no doubt about it. I don't think there's any other way to look at it. Now, she was not placed fourth because of the interference. She was placed fourth because of a weight violation. But regardless, she was interfered with.
They get me on that all the time.
Yeah, well, they don't do it here. They do it there. I mean, Aidan O'Brien has won 2 of the last 4 runnings of this race. I just think she's the horse to beat. I'm going to try to beat her going for price, but I don't have any argument against her. Do you?
No, not really. Not really. You would like a little bit of more of a local standout and a U.S. standout, and I don't think there is one. Yeah, I'm going to take a swing at
Yeah,
what a price.
I took With the Moonlight. We'll take a look at her winning the stake 2 races back. The horses she beat are not killers. I am not going to say they are. But she was also coming off a 6-month layoff, going 1.25 miles, and she just crushed the field. And it seems to me that if you're getting a Godolphin horse for Charlie Appleby at this point, it's going to be a big price. You're kind of supposed to go, because the way his horses have run over here, at least last year, and this year maybe he'll go over 12, you know?
Right.
But he's shipping over the right horses, and she's going to be a square enough price. So I put her on top, but I think it's Concert Hall is the horse to beat here.
Okay.
We'll take a look at Agartha, because Agartha is a very, very dangerous horse, and we're going to take a look at her finishing second, I think 2 back in the Cornell Court. I mean, history who beat her, she ran 7th in the Irish Guineas in her next start, but she was also is the pedigree.
Hasn't been beyond the mile yet.
Right, but I think it's worth people taking a look at State of Rest's past performance running lines coming into the Saratoga Derby last year, because the knock on him for Joseph O'Brien was probably wasn't going to be able to get the distance, and completely turned it around. And obviously, he's one of the best horses in the world right now. I mean, he's won the Cox Play, he's won the Guinea, and he's won the Prince of Wales. I don't love this horse getting 1.25 miles, but I'm scared of this horse. I'm scared of Joseph O'Brien. He ships over nothing but live horses.
And if you didn't hear, he'll be keeping a half a dozen in Saratoga this summer. So that'll be
I'm glad to see that. Well, listen,
Yeah.
they come over when we have big purse races, and I'd like to see a little bit of support for our racing.
Sure.
You know,
Bring
it's one thing to
send the 2-year-olds.
come over here. Well, they should. The purses are good. Hot Queen and Know Thyself. We'll take a look at them finishing second and third behind Master Savigny. 2 races back for Hot Queen, and both of them 2 races back. Both of them disappointed in tougher spots. They're probably over their head in here. They're probably not as good as the other Euros, but I don't think they're untalented. I just don't think they're quite as good as our horses or the Euros. But I did want to show them running as well. I like the fact that we've gotten European participation in both these races. I do think in this race, the Europeans don't necessarily have as big an upper hand as they do in the Caesars Belmont Derby. In the Caesars Belmont Derby, they overlay the field, mostly because our horses just aren't very good, and their horses are okay. In this race, I think it's a fair mix. If
5 and 5.
If a U.S.-based horse wins today in one of these 2 races, it's far, far, far more likely to be in the Oaks than it is in the Caesars Belmont Derby. The Victory Ride. So we'll show Pretty Birdie. I think she's the horse to beat. Do you worry about 6.5 for her?
Yeah, I don't like her.
Don't like her.
No,
Okay, why not?
I don't like her. I think there's other speed in here today, isn't there? That at the very least has to keep her some kind of company.
She's pretty quick.
I wonder about the 6.5. Yeah, I do. The 7 proved to be a little bit too much in her last 2 starts.
Okay, but I have a question, and I've got her second. I don't love her today. I think she's the worst to beat. You have Happy Soul on top. Isn't Happy Soul the only other speed, and isn't she just as questionable
I
going
think
the distance?
Happy Soul's going to sit off of her.
Well, then Pretty Birdie will win.
Yeah, I mean, Happy Soul.
She's only speed.
Well, I would imagine Hot Peppers is going to have a say in the matters early.
I don't think so, but okay. I don't think she's that fast. You think she's faster than Pretty Birdie? Pretty Birdie. The thing about Pretty Birdie also is she breaks out of the gate as quickly as any horse in the
does.
game. She's a rocket ship out of the gate. So when you've got a fast speed horse that breaks like that, they got to run to keep up with her.
I feel like Hot Peppers is fast enough to try to keep up with her early. I think Happy Soul I thought her best race was when she won the Dixie Belle from just off the pace. I'm hoping that Johnny can give her a similar trip
Okay.
by not going.
Okay, I've got her third. I pick Smash Ticket. I don't know. I mean, I think when you pick horses like her, you're either smart or it's both ends of the spectrum. Because either you're taking a horse that ran a big fig out of town, is going to come to the big tall trees and tall buildings and suck. On the other hand, this horse ran well to break her maiden her second start at Del Mar, coming
did.
from Lone Star. So it's not as though you were smarter than me in getting a water. It's not as though it's not as though she hasn't run in the big time. And I got to tell you something. She runs that last race.
She'll gallop.
This field's in trouble. I don't know if it's a gallop, but this field's in trouble. And I took her on top. So
She runs that last race, and she improves it. She's
going to be very tough.
This is
I
tough.
mean, this is an interesting horse because there's a chance, based on that last race, that she's a real test contender. There's a chance
No
that
question about it.
she's
I think it was smart
facing
for,
the big
for-
girls
for
and not
Todd,
going to be good.
Smart for Todd Fincher to find out now.
Oh, 1,000%. 100. Could not possibly agree more. Well, Show Hot Pepper's last race, she did win the prep for this. I just don't think she's good enough. I think she's fast enough to make a lead. I don't think she's good enough to win.
Yeah, she galloped in the Jersey Girl. I don't disagree.
This was a much weaker field.
Yeah, much weaker field. No question.
And
about
Inside
it.
Speed was good that day.
Yeah.
Not a
She was
huge
able to
bias.
just run away from these fillies.
I don't think Sterling Silver can win because I don't think there's, number one, I don't think there's as much contentious speed as there was last time. And I also think it's a much tougher field.
Much tougher field, but she's 3 for 3 sprinting. I do think there'll be some pace on in here. And Tommy Albatrani's had a good meet. We talked about Trevor upsetting races at prices for horses from off the pace. I don't think
She's
she's
gotten
impossible.
very good trips. I don't think she's impossible. I've got her fourth, but unlikely. I think of the tie. I really broke this tie out. This is like, I think I've worn this tie in like 7
Wild.
years.
No, you
Really.
wore it once.
Well, I haven't worn it in a while.
I've seen you in that tie.
I popped out because I was packing last night, so I packed them like about 50
I figured
ties.
as much.
And it's important to have as big a selection as possible in my apartment. It's the size. My apartment's approximately the same size as this area of this. The bedroom is about half. It's a very funny apartment. It's tiny. It's really funny. Well, I'm a tiny guy. Race number 9.
You're not
the
that tiny.
Caesars. I know I'm not.
You
I'm
act like
joking.
it's Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. I mean,
I love the guys, the losers on Twitter that talk about make comments about my height. It's just like, I really thought people stopped doing that when they were like 8. I guess Twitter is an extension of 8-year-olds, right?
are you really talking to me about being made fun of for a?
Oh, but you're the same as me. You think it's it doesn't bother you at all.
No.
At all. You have a very you're hilarious. You make fun of yourself.
I do.
Somebody said to me, I was making fun of you on the show. Somebody said, "Can you do that, Anthony?" I go, "Me?" I say he makes more fun of himself than I could
do.
possibly make of him. Stone Age. We'll take a look at Stone Age winning the Derby trial. And this is, you know what? I'm not sure. Is one of the conditions of the Caesars Belmont Derby you have to have run lousy in the Kazoo Derby?
It's amazing.
And did
right?
they give away Kazoos that? Well, it's Kazoo with a K, right? So
Right,
it's
a
not-
kazoo's with a K.
I mean,
You
look,
played a
this
kaz- you
was
played a
was
kaz-
7
you played
to
a
2.
kazoo at all?
Anthony, come on. I was better in the Jews harp, but the kazoo, yeah.
I'm bringing my harmonica to Saratoga this year, by the way.
That's
I'm
really.
just gonna walk around Caroline Street after a bad day at Saratoga, just playing with the hat out, Met hat out.
I was going to make an allusion to something else, but I'm trying to grow up and not make it. And you know exactly what I wanted to say, but I'm not going to. And that's one of the reasons Anthony and I get along so well is that there are certain things that he and I say where we know exactly where the other one's going. I think this horse is the horse to beat. I don't really have any. I mean, I don't think he's a monstrously the horse. And you do have to worry a little bit. These horses all ran so bad in the Derby, but this horse is pretty
That's
good.
a point I think that we need to discuss a little bit. These horses didn't really have excuses. They just now, and maybe you could
Well,
say,
he was sweating. That was something
Well-
they talked about. So I think it'll be interesting to see how she
yes.
looks in the paddock.
Well, so and that's
she shipped.
That's right. How has he shipped? I'll tell you what. Excuse me. His Derby trial was good.
Yes, it was. Yes, he runs that race, and he's the horse to beat.
His Derby trial was good.
But Nation's Pride, you look at the prep he used, the Kazoo Derby at Newmarket. That was a 4-horse field.
Yeah, don't you feel like he's just facing a little bit lesser?
Probably.
And right, the race in
well, I mean, Stone Age
Maidan.
ran in the Grand Criterium. That's that's one of the biggest 2-year-old European races.
He
ran-
finished right, and then he finished second in the
Saint-Cloud.
Criterium.
You would love Saint-Cloud.
Mile and a half is a mile and a quarter is a 2-year-old. He got beat a length and a half. So
No, no, no. I don't disagree. I think that, you know what? You're right. He did. But listen, you've got Godolphin with Nation's Pride. You've got the Coolmore guys with Stone Age. You got the Tory against. I love, by the way, Ryan Moore and Frankie Tory are here. I'm excited for today. All kidding aside, I'm excited for today. Today
It's a
is
fun day.
a really sensational day of racing. I mean, it's a really great way. I think one of the nice things about today is it's an unbelievably great way to kick up to end the Belmont meet before we head to Saratoga.
Yeah.
I mean, this is really. I'm going to tell you, I don't think we've had a better card for betting on the entire meet. I really think this is a terrific, terrific card.
David Aragona put up the Speaker's Corner Belmont Derby.
Not Speaker's Corner, Mr.
Mr. Speaker.
How did he pay $40 that day? I think I blew the exact.
Pick four paid $75,000.
I didn't have that.
I left him out, and after telling my mom, who came on the Sunday, that the Pennine Ridge was a prep for him, I was so sick to my stomach.
So, I picked Royal Patronage, who finished worse than they did, but I thought Royal Patronage. I mean, look at his second, the race before it in the Dante. He lost to Desert Crown by roughly the same margin that Desert Crown won the Epsom Derby. Now, the difference is that one of the reasons Desert Crown may have won the Epsom Derby, because is that horses like Nation's Pride, who was 7-1, and Stone Age, who was 7-2, completely failed to show up. So it's probably not fair to say he could have finished second if he had shown up.
Right.
But I'll tell you something that I kind of like about him. That race 2 back is good. His race 3 back in the Guineas is not that bad, and he probably wants more distance. The mile and a quarter is probably the perfect distance for him. I like that Joel's riding him. I think it's an advantage to have Joel on this course.
When I looked at this horse, you look at his running lines, and I watched that because
he beat Carabas last year. Won the St. James Palace.
I wonder if this horse has bleeding issues.
They wouldn't have shipped him over here to have bleeding
Well,
issues.
you can treat, there's no Lasix in this race, but you can treat the bleeding better here than you can there. Because a couple of his races, that's what it looks like.
This horse is running against Native Trail. He was second in Native Trail. He beat Carabas. This horse has some back form.
I don't know anything about this horse or these connections. I do think it's interesting that Joel's riding the horse because him and Ron Anderson, his agent, have done their research. And, yeah.
I want to tell Joel something. Yes, Joel, you did ride Classic Causeway, but I had the wrong race. I thought he rode in the Breeders' Fraternity. We were talking about it. He didn't. He rode him at Churchill that day. Bless you. Okay, other Euros. Nick Tamro likes Machete. I will say one thing. He ran well, 2 back behind that horse, Vadini, who came back to win the French Derby.
He was sharp.
And Vadini is an Aga Khan horse. I love those Aga Khan horses. He was sharp. I didn't pick Machete, but I wouldn't completely fall asleep on Machete. He's not that bad. Implementation appears to be a bit over his head in here. He was right. He only lost by a neck to Machete. So that horse, Vadini is really, really, really good. I have to imagine he's probably pointing towards the arc. It was like those Aga Khan horses. So let's go to horse races here. And Emmanuel won't be running, which if he knows, he's happy. So you picked Napoleonic War.
I did. Horse I did not like in his last 2 starts.
Well, why would you possibly like him here?
So
I think show that race.
So last time out, when Emmanuel's going 51-3 with the rails out to Hoboken,
okay.
He's never seized the iron. He's 3-4 wide around a racetrack.
No, he wasn't. He was too wide, but okay.
Never able to save any kind of ground. He's up against no pace in the race, and yet he's still grinding.
But didn't Limited Liability run a better race?
I knew you were going to say that, and I've had a half a dozen people say that to me.
We did.
I think this horse, who had to grind more, I think it's just more natural for a horse that has the lack of speed like Limited Liability to appear to have done more running in that race last time.
He's a rare Chad Brown horse. It's going to be a gigantic price, so I wish you the best of luck.
I think he'll be in the right position. I wouldn't be surprised if Flavien Prat has him a little closer today. Having learned from riding him last time, and he rode him off the little break 3 starts back as well. I like to see this horse pocket it up today. You might be right. But he's going to be a big price.
He should be.
And let's see how these horses perform off of these bad efforts over in Europe. Let them come over here, and if they come, listen.
I'm not going to argue with you. I just think this horse is crazy, but I wish you the best of luck. I think Limited Liability is one of the few U.S.-based horses that has an outside chance in here. I think Titus the Bomb is probably the best of the horses, and he's got his rabbit in here. He's got Classic Causeway. This is an excellent prep for the Alan Jerkins, by the way. The Caesars Belmont Derby, Alan Jerkins.
Let me
Classic
ask you a
Causeway, if he has a chance.
If Classic Causeway pays $37 in the Alan Jerkins, what are you gonna implode on set, or are you gonna be cashing?
I'll be like floating. They'll have like an Andy. I'll be like floating above, high-fiving, going after Kenny McPeak knocked me when I said this horse should be turning back. Are you kidding me? He won't be running the Alan Jerkins. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. Let's show Tiz the Bomb running second in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. And I'm glad that Kenny decided not to go to the Epsom Derby. Well, I'm sorry, he was going to prep in the English Guineas.
Kazoo Derby, Andy.
And then he was going to go to the Kazoo Derby with him, where he would have finished 50th. He's okay, this horse. I'm interested to see what he can do as a 3-year-old on the turf. I'm not certain he's that good, and this was a very fast pace that totally melted down. So he was getting second as a function of the way the race was run. But I want to give him one chance in here, and we'll see how he does. What about Stolen Base and Side Dog? My man Kirk Wyckoff's mad at me that I didn't put him in the top 4. Stolen Base, I don't know. I just once again, I think
turf course, hard to gauge that turf course, and
he's run some okay races.
Yeah,
I honestly,
I would prefer him to Side Dog.
I think this is a very underwhelming group of U.S.-based horses.
Okay.
And I'm not sure I prefer him and Side Dog. It's close. I'm not sure. Side Dog's got a better overall resume, to be honest, and I'm not going to condemn him, like you said, off those race Churchill. I think that this is a race that's going to be very hard for the Americans to win. We'll see what plays out. It's a very, very fun race. It doesn't get any easier in the 10th race, I'll tell you that. Let's take a look at I wanted to show the whole race, and we'll talk about it, because I want to show Hey Mac, it's Jack, who's the number 4 in here, who doesn't break. Doesn't break and has to rush up into what was a very, very quick pace. And I actually think Hey Mac is Jack. Where is he? Where is he now? Is it the right race? Yeah, he's right there. He's in
the
fifth.
number 4 horse.
Yeah, and he's going to rush up and steady along on the rail badly. I don't know if he could get 7 furlongs, and I doubt he can. But I'll tell you one thing, he's gone in here. He's gone.
He's supposed to be.
He's gone. And his race 2 back is pretty good. This is the horse that Nick needed for all that money, 2 races back. He almost won. He had an excuse last time. I look at Feathers Road. He had the run of the race. He doesn't win. Dream Point is kind of a suck-up type. I just don't really like any of those horses in here. But I think of anyone out of this race, the only horse I would want is the 12.
I didn't have a strong opinion in here. I want the fresh faces. I took Frank Zott, the first for Clement and Rosario, and Salt Key for Chad and Manny Franco, who 2 off-the-turf tries. Over one at Aqueduct, 1 here at Belmont. He finally gets on the turf. I didn't like this horse going 7.
Okay, I get it. He's a speed, and 7 may be a problem for him, but I think he can win. And obviously, I think Salt Key is the horse to beat in here. Chad's tried to get this horse in the turf 2 times. He ran fine last time on the dirt. He'll probably win the way these Chad Brown. He's trying to get on the turf, and he's despite the fact that he's Dam is 0 for 6 for Brooks in the turf. But the Fed Bizes are turf horses. They're rarely dirt horses. So, and I'm not going to let Chad Brown beat me. So I will obviously use him. I think the right horse in here is Ray's Legacy. Now, I know this horse is Tom Morley off a layoff, so that's a problem. But this horse is a half-to-kept waiting, who's a broken vow. So now you get a Street Boss, which is infinitely better as a sire. This horse was well met in both of his races on the dirt, going up to 5-1 both times, despite not running a step in his first start. He lost to Who That's Me last time. Now he's going to the surface that he was meant to be on for Tom. I think he is super interesting. I don't love him because of the layoff, but I think Ray's Legacy is a very, very, very interesting
You can
horse
get a piece,
in this race.
sure.
So I'm going to use 6, 7s, and 12s. Race number 11. Didn't get a lot easier.
Oh.
Thing about race number 11 is, are you surprised that Wesley ran both? I am. We'll show Sheriff Bianco's race 2 races
There's
back.
nothing I felt like this race, there was nothing I could say, or nothing would have surprised me in here.
Nothing you could say that can't be said?
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing you can. What is it? You ever see, what is it, Across the Universe, that movie where they sing all the Beatles songs? I was watching a little, I saw it when it came out.
It was on the other day.
Julie Taymor. It's on, but I saw it when it came out. It's Julie Taymor. Yeah, it's good. It's a good movie. So this is Sheriff Bianco running second to Phantom Smoke, one of the most overbet horses in racing. I'm I know that Jeffrey Sanchez rode him last time, and I know he popped up because it was Preakness Day and nobody was here, though I have to admit I was kind of shocked to see that he was riding here. I haven't seen him since he walked into that potted plant in the paddock at Gulfstream, but that's another story, which you'll enjoy. Either this horse can't run at all anymore, or that was one of the silliest rides in history. How is he nowhere near the lead in there?
No idea.
I also don't think the turf was yielding that day.
Right. Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah.
I mean, he makes sense.
But I don't trust him like you. I mean, we both have him third. I don't. How can you totally trust him? But I guess he's the worst to beat.
Can't trust
But
anybody
he's going to be
again.
short. What did I miss on
This is
He's a
the
Stone
old
Cold
DTA.
Fox?
You know what? I just wanted a horse at a price.
He'll
This
be a
horse ran
price.
well enough first time out to not. I'm not going to say I'm not concerned about the layoff, but horse ran well enough first time out. I just
He was
wanted
on a
some-
gold rail when he broke his maiden. That was one of my concerns with him. I had him picked fifth, so I obviously didn't think you were crazy. I wish.
And there's not a. I mean,
Yes,
I
there
don't know if Sheriff Bianco.
Sheriff Bianco's going to have speed today. He's
Okay.
going to have speed. He does help by the scratch of the 9 Awesome Bid, though. Because
Yeah.
Awesome Bid coming out takes potential
Just
speed out of the
hoping,
race.
yeah, I'm hoping he's forward. I mean, listen, maybe and you don't have the horse at all. It's so hard to take a horse like BC's Glory Day, but maybe this is as simple as first time Rob Actress drop. I don't know.
He's 5 for 29 off the claim on the turf with a $1.42 ROI, and he's 0 for 5 turning back in distance. Look, you've done great with Rob's horses. You want to keep using them. I get it. I just don't like that horse. I like Giramonte a lot in here. And Giramonte, this was not we have great chart callers here. This was not the finest work our chart callers have ever done with him. I get it. It was the end of the day. I understand. Long day. This horse got rated behind Cotton and got completely shuffled out and just got a awful, awful trip last time and actually didn't run that badly in there. I think Giramonte is a major, major player in this race. I like him. I also think it's interesting that Linda left in the one Umbria dropping down because I think Umbria can beat these horses. Chasing that race against better horses, long two back, I think this horse is a little bit dangerous turning back. For what it's worth, first time for a tag in sprints, Linda has good numbers. She's like 23% with a 230 ROI. And she's 2 for 4 turning back for what it's worth. So I thought Umbria. I was going to mostly focus on the 4 and a little 1, and I'll use Sarah. These Wesley horses just
You guys can blame Andy for the pick 5 ticket going from 96 to 120.
blame me for anything.
I just gave them permission.
Okay. Why?
That's
Who
what-
you,
I'm
you
throwing
should,
Giramonte.
You should use Giramonte.
I'm throwing Giramonte.
Yeah, Giramonte's
I
dangerous.
just did it.
All right.
Ticket will be up in a little bit.
That was fun. Looking forward to this card.
It was. Yeah, be a good day. Fun day. Phil's here.
Phil is.
I'll bring him up.
Really?
He wanted to say hello.
Oh, all right. Well, where's he going to be?
We'll be down by my spot.
I'll come see you.
Come by.
I'll come see you. I'm not on the air for a while.
Very
I'll,
good.
I'll
Oh,
definitely
good,
come down.
okay.
I gotta go talk to Roy and the guys.
Okay.
All right. You need to head over to Naira Bets. No better time than the present. Play through Naira Bets. Keep the money in the game in sport racing in New York. Use the promo code MATCH200. We'll match for $200 of your initial deposit. We have 5 times points at Belmont today and tomorrow. You say we don't have to opt in for this. It's
I
automatic.
don't believe so.
Can't hurt. Check out the opt-in. It's an easy thing to do, as many of you probably know. We've got 10 times points at Canterbury, which we're showing tonight. You'll be covering that with Acacia, and Horseshoe Indy. We'll be showing that throughout the day as well. Speaking of Horseshoe Indy, they are 3 of the 5 races in our cross-country Big 5, along with our 2 Grade 1 races, the Belmont Oaks and the Caesars Belmont Derby.
The ticket will be up for that too. No opt-in required for either of the promotions.
No opt-ins, thank you. Ticket will be coming up for that. All right, good luck with that. That at least it doesn't include the 9th race at Horseshoe Indy. It's quite a handicapping contest. And also, America's Day at the Races, 1 to 7, 8 to 11. Lots to do. All right.
Meadowlands Pace eliminations tonight on the program.
I was
and
there.
We're covering the Meadowlands Pace next week.
I was there when they had the qualifiers, when Nia Trust broke, and he still ran fourth. It was a
Still ran
race
fourth.
after he fell at Saratoga and for his first loss, which I'm sure all of you remember. Track owner Ernie Morris charging across the track, or Nia Trust gone over the rail. He was some
The old
horse.
hub rail. They don't have
And
hub
then,
rails anymore.
Then he trounced the field in the pace the next week.
Jiggy jogged.
He was some horse.
He was.
That was like 79 or 80. 79 or 80. It was 79 or 80 because I was working here before
80
Saratoga.
sounds about right.
Yeah, it was definitely one of those 2 years. Anyhow, not definitely, but probably. Yeah, because I don't know if I was here that
I'll
long.
be around all day. Come say hello if you're here.
All right. Bring fruit. Bring rotten fruit as well. I might even be there, so there's that. All
You
right.
bring ripe fruit, I'll eat it. You bring rotten fruit, I'll duck.
I got a couple of nectarines have been good this year. I'm a big
Yeah,
nectarine
I'm
guy.
not a nectarine guy.
Big nectarine guy.
Pineapple's been really. Pineapple and watermelon's been fantastic
There's
lately.
really no fruit I won't eat.
Okay.
I like them all. Anyway, we're done. Johnny I up next. Reprise the scratch and changes. Enjoy a wonderful day of racing here at Belmont Park.